again. Man, what a day. Well, it's been more than a day. I've been working on this thing for more than a day. Yeah. Bit of a nightmare really. But I suppose people would say, well, you should have known better buying a cheap Chinese saw, rah rah rah. You know, I got a whole heap of Chinese saws that I don't have a problem with, but every now and then you do encounter a problematic cheap Chinese saw, like this one, the G366, which is a copy of the G366. Again, once I addressed all the issues that it had and did some upgrades, love it, fantastic saw. And it's certainly, even with all the work that I did to it and the, pardon me, the parts that I replaced and whatnot and upgraded, it's still a hell of a lot cheaper than buying a still. Because, well, you can't buy that anymore. If you want a 50cc still, you're going to get a clamshell. Same as Husqvarna. If you want a 50cc Husky or still or any of them, you know, the what's it called, Shindaiwas, Echoes, everything that's 50cc and below is a clamshell. I don't like clamshells, alright? And people would say, well, you just, you know, your bias is stupid because, you know, they're only small saws, and people have realised that building clamshells there's an advantage to it. Well, yes, there is an advantage to it because it's lighter, because there's so much plastic. Now, where is it? Where is it? I've lost my bullshit button. But as far as I'm concerned, making something in a particular way because it's cheaper is okay, so I've made my point. You know, it's just like cars. You ever look at all the plastic that's on cars these days? I mean, my God, some of the new cars, half of the bodywork is plastic, you know, and look, yeah, people are going to say, oh, you're full of shit, you know, so what, it's plastic, you know, get over it. No, I don't want to get over it. I don't like clamshells. We're talking about chainsaws. I do not like clamshells. I do not like plastic chainsaws. Okay, it's as simple as that. Call me old-fashioned. Yeah, okay, I'm old-fashioned. But as far as I'm concerned, a magnesium crankcase is a lot better than plastic. All right. The other thing is, if you want to port, you know, if you want to do a little bit of performance work on your saw, and some people do, and so I'll be honest, I have not as yet. This fin's bent. I have not as yet, but I intend to. I'm going to get another one of these stupid things, even after all the dramas, and I'm going to do some hot rodding to it. So we'll see where that goes. Probably a complete disaster. So I'll tell you what the issues that I had with this thing. I had issues with it flooding. Now, I've got a whole bunch of others. Well, I don't have any OEM stills. They're all Chinese copies, all right? They're all Pharmatech stills, Ultiform the Pharmatech copies of stills. You know, the G360, G660, G888. What else? G366. Well, I won't include this one. But I've got a shitload of other still copies, so they're the same design, and I didn't have trouble flooding with those things, but I did with this, and I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. And then I discovered that, well, first of all, if you watch Dino Joe mods or the Novice Lumberjack, so they hot rodded these 366, and one of the things that they found out was that the carburetors that come with these things, the port size of the, or the venturi size of the carburetors is asked about. Alright? Yeah, it's really weird. For some reason, that's how they are. I don't know if the OEM saws are like that, but so people would say, well look, if you've got issues with the carburetor on this piece of Chinese junk, right, why don't you just buy an OEM carburetor? Okay, yesterday, when I flew home, straight off night shift, I still feel shit from doing night shift. I hate doing night shift. I hate doing night shift. I just feel like shit. And like for a few days afterwards. And so I'm going to have a few days of recovery and I've got to fly out there again, but day shift this time. So people would say, why don't you just buy an OEM carburetor and put it in it, and you won't have the troubles, the dramas that I'll tell you I had. Well, this saw costs less than $500. It costs 360 Australian, I think, and there was also delivery. Now, I went into the one of the still shops in Townsville yesterday, and I said, how much is a MS361 carburetor? And he blurted out, like straight up, he said, oh, they're usually about $100, I'll look it up. And then his eyes widened, and because I knew what was coming, he said, $240 Australian for a carburetor, a two-stroke carburetor. I'll show you what that, this one's in pieces. Tiny little thing, you know, 2 boxes of matches. 2 boxes of matches is pretty much how, or even smaller than that, is how big a two-stroke carburetor is. They're very simple, okay, but still wants $240 Australian. Well, you know, I've got this. Whoa, there we go. That's for Stihl. Yeah, that's what I think about Stihl and their OEM carburetors. $240. Seriously. It's not that I can't afford it. You know, I can afford it, but that's crazy. That is a ridiculously high price for a carburetor. A two-stroke carburetor. It doesn't even have a secondary on it. It has a secondary assembly on it. Nothing, you know. So I'm actually celebrating, and people would say, wow, why are you celebrating? You've just been whining and whinging and you know, and complaining about about all this stuff. But I am actually, believe it or not, I am actually a naturally happy person. Even though in the last video you saw me crying. But I was actually happy. Believe it or not, that was happy crying. I was happy because I was so appreciative of the people who did so much for me, you know, in my time of need, in my time of distress. So, first of all, I'd like to say a toast. Say a toast to, again, to Dawson's Engineering in general and all the people that work for it, to Sharon Dawson, to Damien Gigenti, to Bridget Locke, to, what's her name? Rachel, I can't remember her surname, at Mount Isa, to Ryan Senvik, my supervisor, one of my supervisors, also to Brent Hocking, whose nickname is Squawk, thank you for showing concern. I'll even say thank you to Chooky, you know who you are. You rang up and, you know, so I'm saying a thank you to all the people that actually contributed to my well-being and also people who showed concern for me. So thank you very much, guys. Cheers. And no doubt, Chook's wife Rachel, she would have been concerned too, because she's a lovely person. And if she ever decides to divorce Chook, Rachel, I'm here. So anyway, what happened with the carburetor? So, if you watch the Novice Lumberjack and Don J mods, what they did was they got a MS440 carburetor and put it in there, right? I think I think both of them got OEM carburetors, I think. I did not. I got a Chinese knockoff off eBay. No markings on it. No idea who makes it or whatever. I did all the modifications that needed to be done to it. There's actually a hole that needs to be drilled for the pulse, for the impulse, an impulse hole. There was already a pilot there for it, so clearly, yeah, that was one of the. Because that pilot was there, I thought, oh, this is one of the better ones. It's already ready to go. All you need to do is just drill that hole. Well, guess what? I disassembled that, drilled that pilot hole, or drilled that impulse hole, put it back together, put it on the saw, didn't work. Now, maybe it didn't work because of this other problem that I had. But no, it just didn't work. I don't know whether it was just another piece of shit, knockoff cheap Chinese carburetor, or whether I did something wrong, but I reassembled that thing exactly as it was previously, and I'm thinking maybe yeah, maybe one of the you know what, I don't know, I really don't, but it didn't work. So I got another cheap Chinese knockoff carburetor for the 361, not a 440, the 361 carburetor, and well, got it going, yeah, no worries. Then went to start it again, no, wouldn't start. So take the plug out, fuel coming out, it's flooded. Why is this thing flooding? And I'll tell you what it was, because I took these plastic bits off that cover the carburetor, and I'm playing around with it, and oh, lo and behold, the butterfly on the choke was getting stuck. It was just choking. Even when you'd release it and pull the trigger, it would stay closed. That butterfly would stay closed. What was happening is that it was clashing. So the butterfly was clashing with the Venturi at the top. And I thought, maybe this butterfly is just oriented wrong, because they're not round. The butterflies are not round. They're actually elliptical, so they can only really go on one way, and or upside down. But they should only be able to go one way. Man, I mucked around with that thing. I even tried shimming it, like putting a really thin, small washer between the shaft and the butterfly, and this and that and everything. In the end, I just got a file and just took a shell, because they're brass, the butterflies are brass, so just took a shitload of material off. And now finally, every time I put choke on, yeah, it closes, and then it opens. Finally, but it just drove me nuts. But I had to do it. I had to get it right. Now, the other thing is, I'll just go and get it. Okay, I'm back. So that's the original muffler that was on it. It's a little bit dirty, obviously, because it's been fired up, but not much. A little bit of gasket still left there, which is a pity, because I really tried. Where's the gasket? Gasket's here. What I'll do, I can reuse it. It's still complete, but a little bit of material missing. I'll just get some of that high temp gasket seal and do that. Now, what have we got here? So this is the new muffler. I'll give you a look at it. So what you have to do, because unlike the MS260 that's down there, which is undo 2 screws and the front comes off it, and then you can gut it and you can do whatever you want to screw it back on, these things actually have a sealed, right? So they're brazed together. There's a I don't know what you call it. There's a flange that goes right around there, flange, and so what I did, there's a few different things you can do. You can you really need high temperature to take that brazing apart and unseal it. I don't have an oxy set, so the welding is not the best. It's not my best work. I've cleaned it up with a flat disc, but it's yeah. What I did was I just ground off that flange and just came apart, which turned out to be largely unnecessary because there wasn't much in this muffler. This one here, yeah, there is. This one is constricted. Yeah, it is. But yeah. If I had realised, if I had known how little restriction was in this aftermarket muffler, if I'm modifying a muffler, I always buy a second one and do it on that one and keep the original, because yeah, if you've only got one muffler and you screw it up, and it's so easy to do that. I mean, this stuff is thin. It's really thin. It's less than a millimetre. It's probably, I don't know, 0.8. I would say that it's 0.8 of a millimetre mild steel, and so the welding job wasn't the best, but it's a really tiny little domestic, you know, for, you know, guys like me just to muck around with. Tiny little MIG welder, and that's the first time I used it, so I did do a bit of a mess to start with, but I finally figured out a technique, because yeah, different welders and like MIGs and wire feeders and stick and everything, sometimes you need to modify the technique to get things good, and I didn't figure out the technique until I was about 3/4 of the way through it, so it was only one side that really came out nice. The rest of it was a bit of a mess and a bit lumpy. It did get a lot of spatter. I'm using flux core, 0.8 of a mil flux core mild wire. But anyway, so the only thing I've really got to do, where are the screws, mate? Where are the screws? Put the, yeah, that's not the right screws. Oh, the screws are in there, yeah. Painted over them, because I painted this, it looked like a bit of a mess before, but I painted over it with high temp paint, high temperature paint, which it's still tacky. So this thing is still tacky, it's not completely cured, which is why I'm not putting it together. Well, I'm not putting the saw together yet. You've probably got to wait till tomorrow before I can do that. But so I'll put this West Coast saw universal port on, so you see what it looks like, or you see what it's going to look like. I'll just put it loose. Allen keys. Is that it? You got some weird ass. Guys in the United States, please go metric. Please. You got some weird ass, you know. So that's how it's going to look. Okay, that's the bigger port. So you've got two louvers, two fins there. You've got that port there, and there's nothing restricting that because I've removed anything that restricted it, and you've got that port as well. So it is going to breathe. And my understanding is these things, the biggest performance gain that you get from modifying these things is opening up the muffler. And yeah, the other thing is, oops, that, I don't know if you can see under there, see that hole? That hole never used to be there. That used to be an elbow, and the air would be fed around at 90 degrees, which, what for? Because, don't really understand that at all, because the air filter totally covers the whole thing, alright? So the more airflow, there's not much point in opening this end if you can't get air in via this end, all right? Yeah, it's going to be starved for air. So, yeah, again, celebrations, I've got the carburetor to work properly. Oh, I haven't started up yet because I haven't got the muffler back on. I'm not going to put the muffler back on because I'm going to, yeah, put gasket glue on that, and that stuff's pretty permanent. So I'm really looking forward to this thing running because it should be a beast. It really should be a beast. With those modifications that I've done, it should be a beast. The one modification that I haven't done that is supposed to also really help in increasing horsepower is a base gasket delete. I don't want to take the cylinder off it, you know what? The next one that I get, because I'm going to get another one, believe it or not, yeah, what a sucker for punishment, masochist. The next one I get, I'm going to do the whole Magilla. I'm going to port it, I'm going to base gasket delete, I'm going to gut the muffler and put one of them on there, universal port. I'm going to go the whole hog. I'll get an OEM carburetor, all right, a Stihl $240 carburetor, yeah. So that thing is going to be an absolute beast. But this thing should really, really run good because they're not very. The good thing about them is they're not very heavy. It's only 60 cc's. Or 62 cc's, I think it is, yeah. But with the modifications I've done, it should perform like a 65 cc saw at least. So that's all I've got to report. You're not going to see this running until tomorrow. So I'll put you on tenterhooks. All right, because even I'm on tenterhooks. Because I have no idea how this thing's going to turn out, whether it's even going to run, you know. Yeah, with all the dramas that I had with that carburetor, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. So, oh yeah, to the guy that commented, he made a comment. He watched one of my videos where I was chewing gum, and obviously he wasn't happy about it because he said, oh, you know, stop chewing the gum. Well, what I have to say is, by the way, I'm eating mini papadums, and what I have to say is, if I want to chew gum while I'm doing a video, I'm going to chew gum, okay? If I want to eat while I'm doing a video, I'm going to eat. I can't remember your name because my reply was no, and he gave me a thumbs up. His reply was a thumbs up, so he's obviously not too much of a dickhead. But you know, look, this is my YouTube channel. I don't get paid. I don't get sponsored. No one helps me in any way, shape, or form. All right, I'm not dependent on subscribers or views or anything, alright? I don't give a shit if you're upset by me chewing gum on my channel. Like I said, I'll eat, I'll drink beer. Yeah, because after all, you know, it's like, I'm in a real, what would you call it? A flannel stronghold. A real redneck part of Australia. Yeah. So, and if you're going to live in, you know, redneck central, hey, when in Rome. So, if you know, aside from, you know, obscene things, I'm going to do whatever the bloody hell I want in this channel. Okay? I don't know why people still do that, still comment about, oh, you know, you shouldn't be doing this while you're videoing. YouTube channel. You need to prepare better. Yeah. You need to prepare better. Let's see, what are they? You need to prepare better. You shouldn't drink beer. You shouldn't drink beer. Shouldn't be drinking alcohol while you're doing a video. Look, I'm an adult. If I want to drink alcohol while I'm making a video, you know, it's only beer. I'm not, you know, I'm not mainlining, for God's sake, you know. So, give it a break, give it a rest, alright? I'll do whatever the hell I want. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch, alright? Unsubscribe. Don't subscribe. I couldn't give a shit. You know, I really, I've said this before, I don't care if people subscribe or not. Yeah, it's nice, you know. It's nice to have people subscribe. That's like, yeah, it's a reward. Almost a reward, but that's not what I'm after. You know what? I just have fun making YouTube videos, and well, I won't say a lot, but quite a few of my videos, people will say thank you for the content. You really helped me, you know, and that's nice. I mean, it is. I mean, it fills my soul with love when people say that I've helped them through my YouTube channel. But if you don't like my content, well, bugger off. Simple as that. So, if I've offended someone or anyone, well, you know. There are people who I would not mind offending, you know, at all. But I certainly don't, you know. To the general viewing public audience, who I don't know at all, I'm not going to offend you. I'm not going to deliberately offend you. If what I do offends you, well, clearly you're easily offendable. You know, what's the word? You're woke. So get over it. So anyway. Again, thank you to everyone who's helped me through a very, very, very trying time. It hasn't all finished yet, but I'm happy I've got power. That's what I really, really cared about. So again, thank you. Also, thank you to man, I forget your names. Yeah, to all the guys who commented on my last video, to all the people, thank you very much. I consider you my dear friends. So yeah, I'm starting to get teary again. I'm hopeless, eh? So thank you to everyone who commented on my last channel and gave me support. I appreciate that very much, like really, I really do. So, next video I'll probably do tomorrow after that, after this muffler, the paint on it has cured, and so I don't destroy it. So until then, see you later.